Hello guys. If you're watching this, chances are your social media feed has been absolutely flooded with Vietnam content, Instagram reels, YouTube shorts, travel posts, and those jaw-dropping drone shots of beaches, mountains, lantern streets and cruise ships. And somewhere between all that scrolling, you probably thought, wow, Vietnam looks amazing. But where do I even start? If you're confused about how to plan your trip or overwhelmed with too much information, don't worry, you're not alone. And that's exactly why I made this video. Because if you want to create your own customized 13-day Vietnam itinerary, without paying extra to travel agents, without getting stuck in confusing routes, and without missing the best experiences, then you are in the right place. So make sure you watch this video till the end, no skipping, because by the time we are done, you'll be fully equipped to plan a smooth, stress-free Vietnam trip like a pro. Alright then, buckle up, and let's dive into all the exciting topics we'll be covering in this action-packed travel vlog. If you're wondering why Vietnam should be on your travel bucket list, let me take you on a quick journey through this incredible country. Vietnam offers a rich mix of culture, nature, history, food, and affordability, making it one of the most rewarding destinations in Southeast Asia. Here are top reasons to visit Vietnam. First up, the landscapes. Vietnam is blessed with some of the most breathtaking scenery you'll ever witness. From the emerald waters and limestone cliffs of Ha Long Bay, to the stunning terraced rice fields of Sapa, the magical caves and Mekong Delta has lush greenery, floating markets and river life. Every region feels like a different world. Next, the culture. Vietnam has a rich heritage shaped by more than 50 ethnic groups. Walk through the lantern-lit streets of Hoi An or explore ancient temples in Hue, and you'll instantly feel the charm and tradition deeply rooted in daily life. History lovers, this one's for you. From the Cu Chi tunnels to the War Remnants Museum and DMZ sites, Vietnam gives you a powerful glimpse into its past and resilience. Every location tells a story you won't forget. Now let's talk about food, because Vietnam is a paradise for foodies. Whether it's a bowl of hot pho, a crispy banh mi, or fresh spring rolls, Vietnamese cuisine is all about flavor, freshness, and affordability. And trust me, street food here is next level. Another big reason to visit is affordability. Vietnam is budget-friendly without compromising on experiences. You get great hotels, delicious meals and unforgettable activities without burning a hole in your pocket. And of course, the people. Vietnamese locals are warm, friendly, and always ready to help. Even with language barriers, you'll feel welcomed wherever you go. If you love beaches and islands, you are in for a treat. From Da Nang to Phu Quoc and Con Dao, Vietnam has some pristine beaches perfect for swimming, relaxing or watching magical sunsets. And for adventure seekers, you can trek in the mountains, explore massive caves, kayak in emerald waters, or even ride motorbikes across the legendary Ha Giang Loop. And if you love shopping, then this place is for you. Vietnam is famous for tailor-made clothing in Hoi An, handicrafts, silk products, coffee and souvenirs at local night markets. So whether you're here for nature, culture, history, food or just pure adventure, Vietnam has something for every kind of traveler. So if you're planning a trip to Vietnam, one big question always comes up: when is the best time to visit? Well, let me break it down for you in the easiest way possible. Vietnam's weather changes a lot from north to south. Because the country is long and stretched out, each region has its own season. So instead of a single, perfect month, it depends on where you are going. The north is best from October to April. Cooler temperatures, clear skies, misty mountains and perfect weather for cruises or trekking. Just keep in mind December and January can get chilly, especially in Sapa. Central Vietnam shines from February to August. This is when you'll enjoy sunny beach weather, blue skies, and calm sea conditions. Hoi An's lantern nights also look extra magical during these months. If you're heading south, November to April is ideal. It's warm, sunny, and perfect for exploring floating markets or relaxing on tropical islands like Phu Quoc. Rainy season usually hits from May to October, but showers are short and refreshing. If you want a general sweet spot for the whole country, aim for February to April. Weather is pleasant across most regions, making it great for a full north to south itinerary. So whether you are chasing beaches, mountains, cities or culture, Vietnam has great weather somewhere all year round. Just plan the right region at the right time, and you're guaranteed an amazing trip. So if you're planning to explore Vietnam from north to south, including the beautiful island of Phu Quoc, the big question is, how many days do you actually need? Let me break it down for you in the most practical way. To enjoy Vietnam properly without rushing, you need around 12 to 15 days. This gives you enough time to cover the major highlights in all three regions, the north, central, and the south, plus some relaxing days in Phu Quoc at the end. Start your journey in the north. Spend at least 4 to 5 days exploring Hanoi, cruising through Ha Long Bay, and if you have time, heading up to Ninh Bình or Sapa. The north is all about landscapes, culture, and slow-paced nature. Next, fly to central Vietnam. Places like Da Nang, Hoi An and Hue deserve 3 to 4 days. Enjoy the beaches, try local cuisine, explore ancient towns and visit historical sites. The vibe here is calm but colorful. Now let's move down to the south. Spend 2 to 3 days in Ho Chi Minh City and the Mekong Delta. Whether you want nightlife, history, or floating markets, the south has a completely different energy. And finally, save the best for last, Phu Quoc. Spend around 3 days here just relaxing. Beaches, sunsets, cable cars, fishing villages, night markets. It's the perfect ending to your Vietnam adventure. So overall, if you want a full north to south experience plus a tropical island escape, plan for 12 to 15 days. Anything shorter will feel rushed, and anything longer just means more time to enjoy this beautiful country. So that's how many days you need in Vietnam. Plan smart, follow the north-central-south route, and end your trip in Phu Quoc for the perfect balance of adventure and relaxation. Before you pack your bags for Vietnam, let's talk about something super important, the Vietnam visa. Don't worry, the process is actually quite simple, but here's everything you need to know in one shot. Most travelers do need a visa to enter Vietnam, but the good news is, you can apply for it online. That's right, Vietnam offers an e-visa system, which is fast, convenient, and you can do it from anywhere. The e-visa is an electronic visa that allows you to stay in Vietnam for up to 30 days, single entry or multiple entry depending on what you choose. And the entire process is handled online, no embassy visits, no agents, no paperwork headaches. Always apply only through the official government portal. It's straightforward and avoids any scams or extra fees. You'll need basic personal information, planned entry, exit points, and your travel dates. Documents includes a passport-style photo and a scanned copy of your passport's data page. Make sure both are clear and properly cropped. The fees vary depending on single or multiple entry, but payment is made right on the website using a card. For 15 days, I paid nominal 2,300 rupees as visa fee. Approval usually takes 3 to 5 working days, but it may take longer during peak travel seasons. You'll receive your visa confirmation via email. Yes, you need to keep a printed copy with you. When you land in Vietnam airport, whether it's Hanoi, Da Nang or Ho Chi Minh City or Phu Quoc, just head straight to the immigration line with your printed e-visa and passport. They'll stamp you in, and that's it. Welcome to Vietnam. So that's the full Vietnam visa process, simple, quick and completely online. Just apply a few days before your trip, keep your documents ready, and you're all set for an incredible journey through this beautiful country. If you're visiting only Phu Quoc Island, then you actually don't need a visa, even though it's part of Vietnam. All you need is your passport, and you're good to go. Phu Quoc is a visa-free zone for Indian tourists as long as you stay on the island. But there's one thing you must remember. If you plan to travel from Phu Quoc to the mainland of Vietnam, places like Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang, Hanoi, or any other city, then you do need a visa. And the same rule applies if your journey starts in the mainland and then continues to Phu Quoc. So the moment your trip includes any part of mainland Vietnam, make sure you apply for a visa that covers your entire stay in the country including Phu Quoc. This small detail can save you a lot of last-minute stress, so plan ahead and enjoy your Vietnam adventure without any worries. Alright travelers, let's talk about flights because getting from India to Vietnam is actually super easy and surprisingly well connected. If you're flying from India, you'll find direct flights from major cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Bangalore, Ahmedabad and Hyderabad to Vietnam's main international gateways, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, and Da Nang. Airlines like Vietjet Air, Indigo, Vietnam Airlines, and Air India operate frequent routes, making the journey smooth and budget-friendly. Flight times usually range between 4 to 5.5 hours, depending on your departure city. Now, if your plan is to visit Phu Quoc Island, here's how it works. There are no direct flights from India to Phu Quoc yet, but getting there is still super simple. You just fly into Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi first, and then take a short domestic flight to Phu Quoc, usually about 1 hour from Ho Chi Minh City or 2 hours from Hanoi. These connecting flights run multiple times a day, so it's easy to match your timings. When it's time to head back to India, you'll follow the same route, take a domestic flight from Phu Quoc to your chosen mainland airport, and then connect onward to India. Since domestic and international terminals are usually close and well organized in Vietnam, the connection experience is pretty smooth and hassle-free. If your itinerary includes both mainland Vietnam and Phu Quoc, try to plan your flights in a loop, land in Hanoi, travel down the country, and end your trip relaxing in Phu Quoc before flying home. It saves time and gives your trip a perfect, relaxing finale. This is what I did in my case, but the other way round, which I will explain shortly. So whether you are starting in the north, exploring the south, or flying straight to the beaches of Phu Quoc, Vietnam is incredibly accessible from India. Just choose your route, plan your connections, and you're all set for an amazing adventure. Now let's talk about something every traveler needs: mobile connectivity. Because staying connected in Vietnam is actually super easy, whether you are navigating the streets of Hanoi or chilling on the beaches of Phu Quoc. The moment you land at any major airport, Hanoi, Da Nang, or Ho Chi Minh City, you'll find plenty of counters selling tourist SIM cards. The most popular and reliable ones are Viettel, Vinafone, and Mobifone. Plans usually come with large data packs and they're very affordable. Activation is instant, the staff sets it up for you, and within a minute, you are online. If you don't want to swap physical SIMs, Vietnam also supports eSIM. You can buy it online before your trip and activate it the moment you land. Super convenient for people who travel light and hate the hassle of changing SIM cards. The best part? Vietnam has surprisingly good network coverage. Whether you are in busy cities like Ho Chi Minh, ancient lanes of Hoi An, cruising Ha Long Bay, or even trekking in the mountains of Sapa, you'll still get decent signals most of the time. You might lose connectivity in deep caves or remote mountain trails, but for most of your trip, you'll be fully online. So staying connected in Vietnam is totally stress-free. Just grab a SIM at the airport, enjoy strong Wi-Fi everywhere, and you'll never miss a map direction, a Grab ride, or that perfect moment to upload your travel adventures. Alternatively, you can also activate international roaming. Here's a quick comparison to help you decide, should you use international roaming from India, or buy a local SIM when you land? So the choice is simple: roaming for convenience, local SIM for value. Just pick what suits your travel style, and you'll stay connected throughout your Vietnam journey. Personally, I chose to activate international roaming because I like staying connected the moment I land. Plus, I had shared my Indian number while booking local tours in Vietnam, so keeping my number active made it super convenient to receive updates and messages from the tour operators throughout my trip. Alright travelers, let's talk about money, because in Vietnam, you are going to see more zeros than your bank balance has ever seen in real life. Seriously, when you first hold a 500,000 dong note, you'll feel like a millionaire, until you realize it's just enough for lunch. If you prefer cashless payments, Forex cards work really well in Vietnam. You can load them with USD or directly in Vietnamese dong, and use them at hotels, restaurants, malls, and big supermarkets. They're safe, convenient, and help you avoid carrying too much cash. Vietnam is still a cash-friendly country, so you must keep some Vietnamese dong with you, especially for street food, local markets, taxis, small shops, and rural areas. And trust me, there's a charm in paying with colorful dong notes. You don't need to carry a lot, just withdraw what you need. ATMs are everywhere, and withdrawing dong locally often gives better exchange rates than converting at airports. So the golden rule is simple: card for big buys, cash for everything fun. Follow this and you'll survive Vietnamese markets like a pro. and maybe not get confused by all the zeros. Maybe. Now let's talk about getting around in Vietnam, because moving from one place to another here is super easy, affordable, and surprisingly fun. The most convenient way to travel within any city is Grab, Vietnam's version of Uber. Just open the app, enter your destination, and a car or bike arrives in minutes. It's budget friendly, the prices are fixed, and you don't have to worry about negotiating or getting overcharged. Plus, you can even order food, book airport transfers, and track your route in real time. Perfect for tourists. If you are a solo traveler and want the true local experience, try a Grab bike. It's fast, it's cheap, and honestly, it's one of the coolest ways to weave through the bustling streets of Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi. Don't worry, they provide helmets too. Vietnam also has other reliable ride-hailing apps like Gojek and Vinasun Taxi. If Grab is taking longer or prices surge, you can easily switch apps to find the best deal. If you are an adventurous traveler, cities like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh offer public buses that are very cheap. But they can be crowded and routes can be confusing, so this option is best if you're comfortable exploring on your own. So whether you're hopping on a Grab bike, cruising comfortably in a cab, or wandering through the charming streets on foot, getting around Vietnam is simple and stress-free. Just download the apps, stay connected, and enjoy the ride. As soon as you land in Vietnam, your taste buds officially start a new life. First up, Pho, Vietnam's national hug in a bowl. Then comes banh mi, the iconic Vietnamese sandwich. If you're feeling adventurous, try bun cha in Hanoi. Down south in Ho Chi Minh City, don't miss com tam, the beloved broken rice dish. And if you're into spring rolls, Vietnam does them in two best versions, fresh spring rolls and fried spring rolls. Don't leave without trying coffee swada, the famous Vietnamese iced coffee. If you are still missing Indian food, you will get plenty of restaurant options in major cities of Vietnam. So get ready to eat, explore, and maybe gain a few happy kilos. Alright travelers, now let's talk about the part everyone secretly wants to know, the budget. Because planning a trip is fun, until the calculator enters the chat. So here's the full cost breakdown of my 13-day Vietnam adventure from Phu Quoc in the south to Hanoi, Sapa, Ha Long Bay, Da Nang and finally Ho Chi Minh City, all in Indian currency. Now, flights are usually the biggest chunk of the budget. Since I had to take multiple flights, including a Malaysia layover to reach Phu Quoc, plus flights to Hanoi, Da Nang, and Ho Chi Minh, the total came to around 55,000 to 65,000 rupees. Cost may vary depending on booking time and airline deals. Vietnam is super budget friendly when it comes to hotels and homestay. My mix of beach resorts and city hotels came to 18,000 to 35,000 rupees depending on whether you are a basic room is fine traveler or a sea view traveler. From airport transfers to buses between cities and Grab bikes everywhere, transport in Vietnam is super affordable. I spent roughly 8,000 to 12,000 rupees including the long bus rides like Hanoi to Sapa and then back to Hanoi. Grab bikes are honestly the fast, cheap, and sometimes your personal air conditioner. If food is life, you'll love Vietnam. From pho and banh mi to seafood in Phu Quoc, the average traveler spends 8,000 to 14,000 rupees for the full trip, depending on whether you are eating street food or sitting in fancy cafes. This includes the Ha Long Bay overnight cruise, Cu Chi tunnels, Mekong Delta tour, Bana Hills entry, cable car, and Sapa sightseeing and many more. Altogether 20,000 to 30,000 rupees for all the major activities. But trust me, every rupee is worth it when you're standing on the Golden Bridge or cruising between limestone cliffs. Depending on what you choose, local SIM will cost around 800 to 1,200 rupees, or if you opt for international roaming, it will cost between 2,500 to 4,000 rupees. Personally, I went with international roaming for convenience, but choose what fits your style. Souvenirs, coffees, snacks, laundry, and random things you didn't plan but still bought because your tourist mode was on. Budget will be around 5,000 to 8,000 rupees. In a nutshell, total estimated budget for 13 days would be as follows based on your level of luxury. So that's the pretty much full breakdown of what you can expect to spend on a 13-day journey across Vietnam. The best part? The country gives you insane value for your money, breathtaking landscapes, amazing food, friendly people and unforgettable experiences, all without burning a hole in your wallet. Alright travelers, buckle up because it's time to talk about my epic 13-day Vietnam adventure. As I mentioned earlier, there are no direct flights from India to Phu Quoc Island, so my journey kicked off from Hyderabad. I hopped onto an AirAsia flight, made a quick stopover in Malaysia, and finally touched down in the tropical paradise of Phu Quoc. I spent the first 3 days soaking in the island vibes, beaches, sunsets, seafood, the whole deal. Then on day 4, it was time to switch scenes and head to mainland Vietnam. I flew from Phu Quoc to Hanoi, and without wasting a single minute, jumped straight into my pre-booked bus from Hanoi airport to Sapa. It's a long ride, around 7 hours, so by the time I reached Sapa, it was late evening and incredibly chilly. Day 5 was all about exploring the beautiful landscapes of Sapa. Then on day 6, I caught an early morning bus back to Hanoi. The very next morning, day 7, I continued the journey towards the iconic Halong Bay for an overnight cruise stay. And trust me, waking up in the middle of emerald waters surrounded by limestone cliffs is something every traveler should experience at least once. On day 8, I returned to Hanoi by bus, and on day 9, I boarded a flight from Hanoi to Da Nang for some coastal sightseeing. Day 10 was all about Bana Hills. I booked a grab bike and headed straight up to explore the Golden Bridge, French Village, and the cable car ride. Then on day 11, it was time to move again, this time from Da Nang to Ho Chi Minh City. On day 12, I joined a local tour agency for a full-day trip covering the historic Cu Chi tunnels and the scenic Mekong Delta. Finally, on day 13, after some last-minute local sightseeing and souvenir shopping, I wrapped up this incredible journey and boarded my evening flight back to India. And that, my friends, is the full snapshot of my 13-day Vietnam itinerary. Now let's break it down day by day so you can plan your own Vietnam trip like a pro. Welcome to day 1 of my 13-day Vietnam adventure. So the journey kicked off with a late-night flight from Hyderabad, and after a quick stopover in Malaysia, I finally landed in the tropical paradise of Phu Quoc. By the time I reached the Bog Hotel, located near Grand World in North Phu Quoc, it was already afternoon, and honestly, after all that flying, even my backpack looked tired. Now here's something important to note. Most hotels in Vietnam have a check-in time of 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. And from my experience, they usually stick to it pretty strictly. Early check-in is possible, but totally depends on room availability and the mood of the hotel gods that day. So plan accordingly. Worst case, you can always leave your luggage at the reception and head out to explore, which is exactly what I did. Since I knew my arrival day would be short, I kept the itinerary light and simple. My first stop, Wind Safari, just about 5.5 kilometers from my hotel. It's a huge open-concept wildlife park, and I spent some great time watching different species from up close. Felt like the animals were hosting a welcome party for me. On my way back, I headed straight to Grand World, and this place is like a mini city by itself. I took a scenic boat ride, wandered through the beautifully lit streets, tried some delicious local dishes, and wrapped up the evening with an impressive light and sound show performed on water. Perfect ending to day 1. A quick tip for you: if you're staying in North Phu Quoc, book a hotel near Grand World. There are plenty of options, and it's super convenient because most major attractions, like Wind Safari, Wind Wonders and the show areas, are just minutes away. And that wraps up my first day in Vietnam. Alright, welcome to day 2 of my Vietnam journey, and this one was all about pure fun, adrenaline, and childhood happiness. I kicked off the morning by booking a grab bike straight from my hotel, and zoomed off towards Wind Wonders, Phu Quoc's massive theme park. Trust me, this place isn't just a theme park, it's literally an entire world packed with adventure. The first thing I did after entering? Head straight for the giant wheel. Because why start small when you can instantly go to the top? As the wheel climbed higher and higher, I got a complete panoramic view of the whole island, blue waters, lush greenery, and the park spread out like a colorful maze below me. After that, it was time for the real action. I jumped into multiple thrilling rides. Some of them genuinely made me question my life choices, but hey, that's what theme parks are for. Every zone had something exciting, and you can easily spend hours just hopping from one ride to another. Then came one of my favorite parts, the seashell aquarium. It's shaped like a giant turtle, and inside, it's a whole underwater universe. From vibrant fish to giant rays and sharks, it felt like I was walking through a living, breathing marine documentary. I could have spent the whole day there. By evening, the food stalls came alive with delicious aromas. Noodles, seafood, snacks, desserts, you name it, they had it. So I grabbed some street food, recharged my energy, and got ready for the grand finale of the day. And that finale was the famous Once show, a spectacular light and sound performance with stunning visuals and dramatic storytelling. With water effects, lights dancing in sync, and music filling the atmosphere, it was the perfect ending to an action-packed day. And that wraps up day 2 at Wind Wonders, full of thrills, tastes, and unforgettable views. A quick tip would be to reach theme park by 9 am so as to utilize maximum which it has to be offer and make most of the money which you spent to book it. Welcome to day 3, my final day in Phu Quoc. And this one was all about exploring the stunning southern side of the island. Since I had an early morning flight to Hanoi the next day, I decided to be smart about it, shift closer to the airport and stay near the major attractions in South Phu Quoc. So I checked into the Palmy Resort, a beautiful property right next to the beach. After finishing the check-in formalities, I headed out to Sunset Town, which is hands down one of the most picturesque parts of Phu Quoc. My mission for the day? Experience the world's longest cable car over the sea. And trust me, the moment that cable car lifted off, it felt like drifting into another dimension, turquoise waters below, tiny fishing boats dotting the sea, and the entire coastline stretching endlessly. Easily one of the most scenic rides of my trip. Once I reached Sun World theme park, it was time for round 2 of thrill rides. After enjoying a few attractions, I switched gears and headed for something completely different, a speedboat ride to a floating platform in the middle of the ocean, where I did underwater sea walking. Yes, sea walking, with a helmet on, and I walked right on the ocean floor, surrounded by colorful fish and coral. It honestly felt like stepping into a real-life aquarium. By evening, I returned to Sunset Town, just in time to take a relaxing stroll around the iconic Kiss of the Bridge. The architecture, the coastal breeze, the golden light of the sunset, it all feels like a movie set. And to wrap up my final evening in Phu Quoc, I watched the famous Kiss of the Sea show, a stunning performance filled with lights, fountains, special effects, and to top it off, a grand fireworks finale. A perfect farewell to this beautiful island. And that concludes day 3 in Phu Quoc. Welcome to day 4, and today the real adventure begins, because we're heading straight into the magical northern landscapes of Vietnam. I started my morning very early with a weird jet flight from Phu Quoc to Hanoi. Since my goal was to reach Sapa on the same day, I planned everything smartly in advance. I reserved a seat with HK Bus Lines, and here's the best part, they offer direct pickup from Hanoi Airport. That means no running around the city with luggage, no last-minute stress. Just land, walk out, hop onto the bus, and boom, your Sapa journey begins. The ride to Sapa takes around 7 hours, winding through dramatic scenery, cloud-kissed mountains, terraced rice fields, tiny hillside villages. It's like entering a completely different world compared to the beach vibes of Phu Quoc. By the time the bus reached Sapa, it was late evening and I was officially done for the day. I checked into Sapa Village Hotel, which is beautifully located right in the heart of town. Everything you need, cafes, markets, viewpoints, is just a short walk away, making it super convenient for travelers. After traveling from the far south of Vietnam all the way to the extreme north in a single day, my body had only one request: rest. So I wrapped up the day early, recharged myself, and prepared for the stunning mountain adventures waiting for me on day 5. Stay tuned, Sapa is about to steal the spotlight. Welcome to day 5 in Sapa, easily one of the most breathtaking days of my entire Vietnam trip. And today, we're heading straight to the legendary Phan Xip Pin Mountain, proudly known as the Roof of Indochina. This is the highest peak in all of Vietnam, and trust me, reaching the summit feels like stepping into another world. Now, getting to Phan Xip Pin isn't just a simple ride, it's a full journey in 3 stages, each one more scenic than the last. Stage 1, I started by taking the monorail from Sapa Town Station to Mong Hoa Station. This ride itself is super scenic, passing through green valleys and giving a teaser of what's waiting ahead. Stage 2, from Mong Hoa Station, I boarded the longest 3-rope cable car in the world. This cable car glides above cloud layers, mountains, and tiny villages far below. At one point, it genuinely feels like you're floating through the sky. This is where you get your first, wow, Sapa is insane, moment. Stage 3. Once I reached Phan Xip Pin Station, I had 2 choices, either trek to the summit or take the tram. And since my legs were already tired from the previous day's travel marathon, I went for the one-way tram. Best decision ever. The journey through the mountains is absolutely spectacular, with sweeping panoramic views of the entire Sapa Valley. Just outside Mong Hoa Station, there are beautifully designed landscape gardens, so it's not just a transit point, it's a mini attraction of its own. As you continue your ascent, you'll come across majestic temple complexes, towering pagodas, a massive giant Buddha statue, and plenty of souvenir shops along the pathways. By the time you reach the summit, you're literally above the clouds. Cold breeze, fog rolling in, colorful prayer flags, and the surreal feeling of standing on the highest peak in the region, it's an unforgettable experience. And that wraps up day 5 in Sapa. Next up, we head back towards Hanoi as the journey continues. Welcome to day 6. I caught a pre-booked morning bus from Sapa back to Hanoi, and for this journey, I chose G8 Sapa Open Tour. Super convenient, comfortable, and perfectly timed for travelers heading back to the capital. After hours of winding roads, scenic valleys, and the occasional power nap, I finally reached Hanoi in the late afternoon. I checked into Bon Navi Hotel, located right in the heart of the Old Quarter, one of the best and busiest areas to stay in Hanoi. Cafes, night markets, street food lanes, everything is just a few steps away. Since the long bus ride consumed most of the day, I kept the rest of the evening simple and relaxed. First stop, the world-famous Hanoi train street. This is one of those rare places where a real train passes just inches away from cafes, homes, and tourists sipping iced coffee. It's chaotic, it's thrilling, and it's completely unique to Hanoi. Since the next day was the big one, majestic Ha Long Bay, I wrapped up the evening early, grabbed a quick dinner, and headed back to the hotel to recharge. And that's how day 6 came to an end, calm, colorful, and perfectly paced before one of the most iconic experiences in Vietnam. Welcome to day 7, one of the grandest and most magical days of my entire Vietnam trip. Now, let me tell you why I purposely chose to stay in the Old Quarter of Hanoi. Almost all Ha Long Bay tour operators offer pick-up and drop services only for hotels in this area. So early morning, a comfy limousine bus arrived right at my hotel doorstep. I hopped in, stretched out, and began the 4-hour scenic drive to Ha Long Bay. Green fields, tiny villages, water buffalo on the roadside, it's a beautiful journey in itself. By afternoon, I boarded my 5-star overnight cruise ship, and trust me, the moment you step onto that deck, you know you're in for something unforgettable. We kicked off the experience with a delicious lunch on board, cruising past thousands of limestone casts rising straight out of emerald water. After lunch, it was time for our first adventure, visiting the dark and bright caves. We boarded a medium-sized boat and sailed deeper into the bay. The moment we entered the cave area, it felt like stepping into a painting. Towering limestone cliffs, calm glassy water, and scenery so quiet and majestic that even time seemed to freeze. Once we returned to the cruise, I changed into my swim clothes and jumped into the calm waters of Ha Long Bay. Floating there, surrounded by cliffs and open sky, is a feeling that words can't fully describe. You just have to experience it. As the sun set, it was time for a traditional Vietnamese dinner on board, fresh seafood, local flavors, and an atmosphere that felt almost cinematic. But the night didn't end there. I decided to try my luck with squid fishing. Needless to say, the squid won, and I lost. But it was fun anyway. Finally, I spent the rest of the evening on the upper deck of the ship, stargazing and taking in the surreal beauty of Ha Long Bay at night. And that wrapped up an unforgettable day 7. Day 8 kicked off with an optional early morning Tai Chi session on the cruise deck, but let me be honest, I completely missed it. After a long day 7, my body said, bro, take a break. So instead of practicing graceful Tai Chi moves, I practiced the ancient art of deep sleep, and woke up feeling fully recharged for the adventure ahead. After breakfast with a stunning view of Ha Long Bay's limestone giants, we continued our journey towards Cat Ba Island. A mid-sized transfer boat took us to Gia Luan Wharf, and from there we hopped onto a bus for a short 20-minute ride to our next highlight, Trung Krang Cave. This cave is believed to be millions of years old, and walking inside feels like entering a natural cathedral carved by time itself. The cave stretches around 300 meters, with dramatic limestone formations rising like sculptures. Once we wrapped up our cave exploration, we returned to the cruise for lunch. Shortly after, it was time to bid goodbye to the majestic Ha Long Bay as we disembarked and began our return journey to Hanoi. By the time I reached Hanoi, it was already evening. With limited time left in the city, I couldn't just sit in the room. So I decided to take a short walk from my hotel, Bon Navi Hotel in Old Quarter, to visit St. Joseph's Cathedral. The cathedral looked absolutely stunning with French Gothic architecture, surrounded by cafes and small local eateries buzzing with activity. And with that serene moment, I wrapped up my final evening in Hanoi, ready to pack my bags and move to the next chapter of this incredible Vietnam adventure. With a quick morning flight from Hanoi to Da Nang, and within a couple of hours I found myself checking in at Grand Gold Hotel, a beautiful property located right next to the sea. The moment I opened the curtains, the view of the coastline instantly set the tone for an amazing new chapter of my Vietnam adventure. Since the Lady Buddha statue was the closest attraction to my hotel, just around 4 kilometers away, I decided to start my Da Nang sightseeing there. I hired a bike and rode along the scenic coastal road. The Lady Buddha statue, standing tall at 67 meters, is one of Da Nang's most iconic spiritual landmarks. it symbolizing peace and protection for the local fishermen. Surrounding the statue is the tranquil Linh Ang Pagoda, admired for its blend of traditional Vietnamese Buddhist architecture and stunning natural surroundings. The atmosphere here is calm, peaceful, and perfect for taking a break from the fast pace of travel. Since I still had some daylight left, I decided to visit another major attraction in Da Nang, the Marble Mountains, located roughly 15 kilometers away from the Lady Buddha statue. These mountains are a cluster of 5 limestone formations, each named after natural elements. They hold deep spiritual significance and are filled with pagodas, tunnels, and hidden caves. The cave systems here are not just visually stunning but also historically important, as they played a significant role during the Vietnam War, serving as hideouts and medical stations. With the sun setting and my energy levels lowering, I wrapped up my visit and headed back to my hotel. That's how I ended my day 9 in Da Nang, peaceful, scenic, and packed with history and spirituality. Day 10 was all about exploring one of the most iconic attractions in central Vietnam, Ba Na Hills. Since it's located around 31 kilometers from my hotel in Da Nang, and being a solo traveler, I booked a bike using the Grab app. The ride itself was refreshing, passing through scenic countryside roads with mountains gradually appearing in the distance. Ba Na Hills is a hill station perched at an altitude of around 1,400 meters, offering a beautiful mix of nature, culture, and entertainment. To reach the summit, you board the world-famous cable car system that holds Guinness World Records for being one of the longest and highest non-stop single cable car rides in the world. As the cable car began ascending, the landscape slowly transformed, lush forests below, cool misty clouds around, and the temperature dropping noticeably, giving a refreshing break from Da Nang's coastal heat. Once at the top, there's an internal rail-like transport called the funicular railway, which takes you further into the Ba Na Hills complex. The highlight of Ba Na Hills, of course, is the Golden Bridge, the iconic walkway held by 2 giant stone hands. Seeing it in person felt surreal, especially with clouds drifting around the bridge, giving the whole place a magical atmosphere. Apart from the Golden Bridge, Ba Na Hills offers beautifully landscaped gardens, a charming French village, and multiple castle-like structures that make you feel like you've stepped into a European fantasyland. There are restaurants, cafes, and even entertainment zones if you want to spend the whole day here. After covering all the major attractions of Ba Na Hills, I still had some time left before evening. So, I decided to head towards Hoi An ancient town, one of the most charming and culturally rich destinations in Vietnam and a recognized UNESCO World Heritage Site. With its lantern-lit streets, riverside cafes, yellow-painted heritage buildings, and lively markets, it instantly transports you to another era. One of the key landmarks here is the Japanese covered bridge, a beautifully preserved symbol of Hoi An's cultural history. As the sun set, the streets came alive with colorful lanterns and Thu Bon River filled with several lantern boats, an unforgettable experience and a perfect ending to my final day in Da Nang. Day 11 began with my afternoon flight from Da Nang to the bustling southern capital, Ho Chi Minh City. After landing, I made my way to Elio's Hotel, conveniently located in District 1, the tourism hub and the perfect base for exploring the city. Since I had planned a packed evening, I had already pre-booked a bike tour using the Klook app. Right on schedule, my rider arrived, and we set off for a 2-hour sightseeing adventure through some of Saigon's most iconic landmarks. Our first stop was the elegant Saigon Central Post Office, a masterpiece of French colonial architecture. Just across the street stands the Notre Dame Cathedral Basilica, an iconic twin-towered structure that adds European charm to the cityscape. From there, we cruised through the traffic to the Saigon Opera House, another beautiful French-inspired building that glows even more impressively under evening lights. Next, we passed the quirky and fascinating Cafe Apartment, a former residential building now transformed into a vertical lineup of cafes and boutiques. Then came the Grand Ho Chi Minh City Hall, shining brightly as the sun dipped below the horizon. We ended the ride at the bustling Ben Thanh Market, one of the oldest and most famous markets in Vietnam, alive with colors, sounds, and irresistible street food aromas. Once the bike tour wrapped up, I asked my rider to drop me at Saigon Port 5, because the evening wasn't over yet. I had pre-booked the Ben Thanh Princess Cruise, which included a delightful 3-course dinner. As the cruise set sail along the Saigon River, the city transformed into a glowing skyline of lights. The reflections on the water, the cool breeze, and the slow glide of the boat made it a perfect, peaceful contrast to Saigon's energetic traffic. Dinner was served on board, and enjoying it while watching the city shimmer at night felt absolutely magical. After disembarking, I headed to the legendary Bi Vien walking street, the beating heart of Ho Chi Minh City's nightlife. Music, neon lights, street performers, bars, and food stalls, Bi Vien is chaotic, colorful, loud, and full of energy. I took a relaxed stroll, absorbing the atmosphere, and concluded my vibrant day 11 right in the center of Saigon's nightlife zone. Day 12 was nothing short of a blockbuster double feature: history in the morning, nature in the afternoon. I had booked a full day tour with a local travel agency, and they picked me up right from District 1 early in the morning. Our first mission, the legendary Cu Chi tunnels, the iconic underground network used during the Vietnam War. Soon, we reached the Cu Chi site, and stepping onto the forest trail felt like stepping back in time. The guide began explaining how thousands of soldiers lived, fought, cooked, slept, and survived in these tunnels for years. I got a first-hand look at the narrow entrances cleverly camouflaged under leaves. Then came the moment of truth, the tunnel crawl. I attempted one of the shorter stretches, and trust me, by the time I crawled out, I had earned a fresh level of respect for the people who lived there. After the historic tour, we got a chance to try traditional steamed tapioca with tea, simple wartime food but surprisingly tasty. From the deep forest, it was time to switch scenes completely, from tunnels to tropical rivers. We boarded our bus again and headed toward the Mekong Delta, famously known as the Rice Bowl of Vietnam. The landscape shifted to lush greenery, coconut palms, and endless waterways. Our first stop in the delta was a boat ride on the Mekong River. For lunch, a traditional Vietnamese meal was served at a riverside restaurant. We then visited a local coconut candy factory, where we saw how freshly extracted coconut is turned into chewy sweets. Free samples? Absolutely yes. We listened to southern Vietnamese folk music, performed live by locals. Simple instruments, soulful voices, and a beautiful cultural vibe. Next, we stopped at a local honey farm where we tasted fresh honey tea and some local snacks. After that, we hopped onto a tiny sampan boat rowed by local villagers through narrow canals lined with coconut trees. It was peaceful, scenic, and the definition of tropical bliss. As the day slowly came to an end, we made our way back to Ho Chi Minh City. By the time I reached my hotel, the sun had set and so had my energy levels. From crawling through war tunnels to cruising along coconut-lined rivers, Day 12 felt like two different worlds wrapped into one unforgettable adventure. Day 13. The final chapter of my Vietnam adventure. You know that bittersweet feeling when you're excited to go home but your heart still wants just one more day? Since my flight was in the late evening, I had a full morning and afternoon to explore. So, I went for something flexible, easy, and perfect for a relaxed last day itinerary, the Ho Chi Minh City hop-on hop-off bus tour. It's a 4-hour daytime pass that lets you explore the city at your own pace without the stress of navigating traffic. You just sit back, enjoy the breeze, soak in the views, and hop off wherever you want. The War Remnants Museum was the only stop where I decided to step off the bus, because it wasn't part of my city bike tour from the day before yesterday. The museum is powerful, emotional, and packed with historical exhibits that give you a deeper understanding of Vietnam's past. As the sun began to set, it was time to say goodbye. I booked a Grab ride to the airport, and on the way, I just stared out of the window, replaying the whole journey in my mind: Phu Quoc's beaches, Sapa's mountains, Hanoi's culture, Halong Bay's emerald waters, Da Nang's temples, Hoi An's lanterns, and the unstoppable energy of Ho Chi Minh City. And just like that, my 13-day journey, from the southernmost island of Phu Quoc to the northern peaks of Sapa, and all the way back down to Ho Chi Minh City, came to an end. But the unforgettable experiences, the new learnings, the breathtaking sights, and the countless moments in between, they're all coming home with me. I've tried my best to cover every angle of this 13-day Vietnam itinerary, from flights and hotels to mountains, beaches, cruises, cable cars, and everything in between. But hey, if I missed something or if you have any questions, doubts, or feedback, just drop them in the comments below. I always read them, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button. It really supports the channel and keeps me motivated to create more content for you. Stay tuned, because the next adventure is right around the corner. And trust me, the destination is going to be just as fascinating. Until then, take care, travel safe, and I'll see you in the next journey.